Hi everyone, I'm Erkan Ali. I'm here with Naresh Haldipur from Allans the Accountants, and I'm from B Collaboration, and we're discussing financial directorships and FD roles within a business and how that evolves. Because you know, when you first start a business, you write the theme tune, you sing the theme tune, you're doing the washing up, and you're doing making all the big decisions, and as your organisation grows, what I've found as businesses grow, there's suddenly they need things they never even knew they needed before. And I think FD role or finance director is a big important part of a growing business, isn't it?
Definitely, and I think you know, any person who's an expert in his field, one of the things I say to my own team about being experts is not that I know more than you or that I'm more intelligent than you, but the ability to see far ahead.
Because also you're dealing with this day in, day out, so you know what the things
are. And we know the things that can go wrong and do go wrong and so on.
But I imagine a business owner come out and say, well, I've got a good account, why do I need an FD?
Yeah, and that's perfectly okay. I mean, we've often been brought into companies where clients have said to us, look, our accountant's fine for the compliance role, but we see him once a year. And this is a business that's growing year on year and doubling their turnover.
So first of all, accountancy on the whole is past-based compliance, managing the end of year, doing the PAYE, doing the returns, keeping the business. And the way we've described this before in previous videos, it's like doing the MOT on the car. You need to do the MOT, you need to service it. And if that's all working great, that's fine. That's not a problem. But when you're starting to think about performance and your business is growing, you're having to employ more people, you need more premises, you need more equipment or plant or assets, then suddenly you're starting to stretch that cash, and sometimes people can get into an over trading position. How would you describe over trading for people?
Well, over trading, quite simply, is you may be making profit, but you're not able to keep the gap between your customers paying you and you having to pay your suppliers, and so you very quickly run out of cash.
So I'm making X widgets a month, right? Say 100 widgets a month. Now I'm making 200 widgets a month. I need some more staff. I need maybe some more storage. I need to order more stuff. Ergo, I've got to pay all those things while I'm waiting for my suppliers to pay me. So really, it's a shortfall. Business is growing, but if you can't keep up with the growth, hence you become over.
Exactly, and again, it's a very, very simple thing to manage through budgeting and forecasting, which again is key in running any business.
Great. So we've talked about budgeting and forecasting. So forecasting really is what?
Well, forecasting, no one's got a crystal ball, right? But forecasting is looking at your leads, your pipeline, your conversion rates, all the things that salespeople are very good at, to say, look, this is what we predict would be the income that comes in the next 12 months.
And do business owners predict well? Or are they overly ambitious or overly optimistic?
I think most people work day to day and just cover the next day. They don't work far enough ahead to say, well, look, what's going to happen in 3 months' time when the current contracts expire or the current work disappears. And you've got to remember, most businesses don't have recurring income. They have to constantly work at sales and marketing and keep that engine running to get work coming in.
So most businesses are working ad hoc. They're working in the moment and stopping themselves long enough to look ahead and start thinking, well, what's going to happen in July, September, end of year, and even further ahead of that. So that's fantastic. And then budgeting.
And then budgeting is just about, well, okay, forecasting is great. We're going to turn from £1 million business into 2 million. But that's going to come, as you know, with the increased overheads and the increased costs that you would expect. And so it's about not letting the costs spiral away and having accountability so that we know exactly what we're budgeting in terms of costs over the next 12 months.
So every business is always at the brink of peril as well, at set of stages, isn't there? So what's the worst case scenario of not getting these things right?
I think, as you said, it's overtrading, or worse than overtrading is that you're just not making the profits because you're not looking at the income coming in, but your overheads are still spiraling upwards, and there's no management of the two to make sure that you're A, profitable, and 2, you've got your cash and finance in order.
There seems to be, with the FD aspect of this, of what the FD service, there's an element of, I think, not coaching so much, but actually starting to question the owner and the sales team in terms of what they're doing, what their thinking is, how they think they're going to have that. There's like a due diligence, or maybe like a sense check. Like, you're going to go ahead and do these things.
For sure.
You're projecting these things, but round about this point, you're going to need to really manage cash in or make some provisions. Also, don't banks really prefer the fact that you can say to them, look, by, I don't know, 6 months' time, we're going to have a cash issue because we're growing at this rate, and then you can go to them in a planned, more kind of structured way, rather than turn up and go, I need another 30 grand overdraft because I've got to pay wages next month.
Correct. And even if you do that, banks are going to say, look, give us a 12-month forecast, because they have certain things they need to report as part of their lending criteria. And so you need to be preparing these forecasts, not just for the bank, but for your own internal sanity, so you know where the business is heading.
So good forecasting and budgeting will reduce stress.
Correct.
And I imagine when you're as a coach, I'm not imagining this. It's when you're in stress, you make make the best decisions. Yeah. You're going to make survivalistic decisions as opposed to kind of more thought out kind of decisions. Correct. And obviously, even when you make decisions, like I said, no one has a crystal ball, so at some point you've got to deal with reality. Yeah. And that might not be what you thought it'd be.
That's right. That's right.
So in terms of what's available to business owners, so one of the things you've cited is R&D tax claims, research and development.
Definitely.
So if the business has ongoing activities within it that are testing, measuring, trying new things, replanning, restructuring what they do and how they do it, that includes in the way they do it, what they do, for who, and all those things. There's a certain amount of that they can write off against tax claims.
And R&D is just one aspect of what we come in and advise clients, but there's also so many other aspects now, because we're in such a fast-moving world. Going to a bank is not necessarily the only means of finance. So we actually have a client that specifically deals with crowdfunding, that can place you with an appropriate crowdfunding company that suits your requirements.
Well, that's quite revealing, because I wonder how many accountants will talk to their business owners about crowdfunding. They probably will go, oh, it's all a bit new, it's all a bit, don't trust it, don't know what it is.
Correct. But it's actually the new way of working.
And one thing you've got negotiating terms. So you can also speak to your suppliers, or speak to your... even the people you're supplying. I think that what I've heard lately a lot of medium-sized companies really struggling because the big corporations they service don't pay them on time. In fact, they really have to work to do the job and then bill it, and then 90 days, 120 days to get paid.
Yeah, and that comes again from planning, because if you plan your own business effectively, you've then got the ability to say, right, in 4 months' time, we're going to have this much cash available. We can now go to our suppliers and ask for a discount to pay them, upfront or whatever. So, it's all about planning and seeing the future through preparing the appropriate numbers.
So obviously debt and borrowing and factoring and refinancing and overdrafts are all one place, renegotiating, R&D.
Yes.
Obviously selling more and managing your efficiencies is really important. So I'd also cite a good morale within the business. Is a fantastic way, because the other thing I've noticed is if the morale's low and the owner of the entrepreneur is not making the best of their people or taking care of them, then they start to make more mistakes. Those mistakes cost more money. There's reputational damage. Then repeat business gets... So the whole thing kind of really spirals into a whole lot of world of pain for those owners.
Yeah. And if you are running the business for today, you've not got time to think about those things. Whereas if you're planning for the future, when we prepare plans, they actually bring out more questions than answers, which is healthy, because the business owners are then asking, right, can we set aside some of that cash for the benefit of the team, for a performance-based, results-based output where the good staff get remunerated.
I've even heard of people asking their team what do they need to make them happy, and people have just asked for the most simplest of things. Can I have a comfortable chair? Can we have some music? Can we get something to make proper coffee? Things you would not consider can make a difference to morale. And morale is a big asset within a business in terms of quality, client experience, all those things. And in terms of success stories, what could you cite as a real success story for a client that you've been?
I mean, there've been quite a few, but one particular one where we took on a client. He was struggling. His bank were not lending him a great deal of money. I think at the time he was using a factoring facility. He had a £300,000 factoring facility, and because we managed him have the right figures to show the bank, to show the lender, to make sure that all the figures are always on point. Recently, he's just increased that to about £1 million. So
that's a big
through a number of through a number of years. But you would not have been able to do that unless the bank were totally confident that the financial numbers were fit for purpose, and that we were managing all the numbers correctly and making the disclosures.
So that instills confidence in all parties, doesn't it?
Definitely,
so if you've got good financial management of the company, investors, partners, the team, clients, prospective bigger businesses will look at you.
Definitely, and that's what the key thing I think is about an FD, a finance director, is actually looking after the financial security of the business. And we firmly believe that. We firmly believe that a lot of growing SMEs need that kind of service, even though they may have accountants that do the compliance work, etc.
Yeah, and also you're not a threat to the accountants, are you? Really?
Correct.
You're not a threat. You're working with them in. Well, you've got to work with them, otherwise you won't get what you need. So you can go and manage that.
Yeah. Exactly.
Anything else you want to say about FD role?
No, I think it's a fantastic.
It's really a no-brainer for a growing business. Isn't
Definitely,
it? No-brainer for a growing business.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you, Naresh.
Good. Thank you.
Hope you enjoyed that. Any questions about FD? How it can affect your business? And how you can just one last thing is like you don't have to. The idea of the services you're providing is that it can be monthly, it can be quarterly, it can be half yearly, it can be weekly. So there's a whole load according to what that business.
What I say to the business is it doesn't even depend on turnover. It depends on how fast the business churn rate is and how they're growing. So that if you're growing fast, you need this service much more regularly. And it depends on cash flow movements, on profitability, and so on and so forth. So, but we're always available to structure a system that works for the client.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. Take care, everyone. Any questions on that? Get in touch. Bye.
Thank you.